You don't realise how traumatising work office politics are until you're out of that environment and you reflect on how you were treated for a job that you were overqualified for and underpaid in. Tweeted by Audacious financial activist, broke black girl _ Hello. Hi. Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday's episode of the Toy Talks podcast. My name is of course Toy Washington and I am your host of the Toy Talks podcast, which I bring a new episode every single Tuesday. And of course today's Tuesday, so it is a brand new episode. I don't even know where to start. Last week's episode, Mass Exodus, I saw record numbers of downloads. My DMs were flooded. I received quite a few emails. You guys really loved that episode. And I think part of it is that you followed the journey of this contract and you have been part of the journey of understanding the ups and downs, some of the highs, a lot of the lows, and all the in-betweens. And I think, that episode was, the crossroads between everything that's happened to the present day. And I think all of us could resonate with a lot of what happened. There's been a lot of ups and downs and twists and turns. And, I don't say it lightly when I say my current workplace is a Netflix documentary in waiting. They're going to be in the news. Oh, 100%. I know they will. 100%. It's just going to take one person who is willing just to lift the lid on the bullshit. I'm a contractor and I definitely feel as though here, it doesn't matter whether you're a contractor or a perm. There's things to learn from here because I started off as a perm, and I definitely feel as though the themes of what ran through the episode last week is something that we can all learn from, irrespective of what industry you work in. I've always told you guys, the podcast is not just for people in the corporate world. I no longer work in that corporate world. I'm just in the working world. A black woman working. This is the podcast for you, the Toy Talks podcast. So I just want to thank each and every one for receiving the episode last week. And I know you guys are waiting for this episode. And I have entitled this episode I.B.O. So it's actually pronounced I.B.O, but not the indigenous way that we spell it. The indigenous way that we spell I.B.O is I.G.B.O. I.B.O is the language that I speak. It's the language from my tribe. But it's also spelled I.B.O. And my dad, when I was growing up, he said to me, I.B.O stands for I before others. So I'm going to dedicate this episode in memory of my dad, who always told me I before others, I.B.O, just not the indigenous way of spelling it. So before we get into it, you guys, one of my really good friends, she asked me for a spoiler for this episode. I was like, I can't, honey, I can't. But it's testament to, how the episode last week went. And obviously, I know you guys have been, looking forward. I was going to come and trick you guys and say, hi, guys, just to let you know there won't be an episode this week. But, I just know that some of you will come and find my neck and put your foot in it. And if you see my neck, it's very dingy. It's just my chin that's just double. So I'm not trying to have anyone's foot on my neck. Thank you. So I won't be running that joke. So before we get started, I just wanted to share a couple of things. And I have shared it on my Instagram. I know there are some people who still don't follow me on socials, which I don't understand. Hello. Because I am really active on my personal Instagram account, which is Toya_Washington. And I post on Instagram stories a lot. I just feel very comfortable on that platform. So Saturday the 5th of March, I shared that for over a year and a half, so for almost 2 years, Kay and I have been building a house. And I say building because it was just rubble. It was a plot of land that we purchased, and we made the decision that, after a lot of research, after a lot of road trips, trying to find the right area, looking at different houses, we decided that in order to have the house that we wanted to have, we had to build it ourselves and custom make it. So we bought a plot of land and we worked with an architect, a developer, a load of subcontractors, builders, you name it, and we built our dream home. And I was able to share that finally, able to share it. But more than anything, you guys know I move in silence. Some of my biggest achievements, some of the things that I experience are never captured on camera. They are experienced in the moment. And I'm not one to overshare. I share what I'm comfortable with, and I share what I need to, not what I have to. And as I said on Saturday, in one of my Instagram posts, I've got nothing to prove to anybody. I am so comfortable within myself. I trust myself and my decisions. I'm not looking for permission from anybody, because I gave myself the ultimate permission to live. Yeah, I gave myself the permission to live and to come out of the shadow of pain, upset, disappointment. And don't get it twisted, I still go through my shit, right? But I want to live. I work really, really hard, as a lot of us do. But I've made a lot of sacrifices to get to a point of saying, I'm ready to buy a piece of land, and I'm willing to buy the house I want to live in. You know, our parents, and rightly or wrongly, you know, my dad being one of them, sent a lot of money back home to build a house. And, you know, my dad's now passed away, God rest his soul. No one's in that house. I don't even know if the house is fully complete. My brothers don't have an interest. And I'm the only one that frequents Nigeria. I haven't been for a couple of years, but I'm the one that goes more than any of them. And I just kind of feel as though I understand where, like, a lot of our parents come from. It's that generation of, you know, we're going to build life here for a better life for, you know, us and, you know, their children, and then they're going to go back home and retire, and they're going to send all the money that they've earned in this country back home periodically. Everyone's suffering here in London for this home that either never happens or does happen, or someone steals their money. And even if it does happen, not to the extent that they want, and some of them don't even get to enjoy it. And for me, I'm not saying that I'm not going to build back home and stuff, because my dad has left houses and land and things like that. But how often am I going to be there to enjoy the fruits of that labour? And I said to Kay, you know, it was amazing that we own the flat that we currently live in, and that's great. But we wanted a family home. And I think the pandemic heightened the need for space, and it brought that conversation to the forefront. Otherwise, we could have just stayed in the flat. So the decision we've made is just we're going to rent out the flat until we decide kind of what we want to do, if we want to keep hold of it, or whatever the case may be. So you guys need to be calling me landlord. And then, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it for an agent. I don't really want to get involved in that process, but I will get involved in the contracts, obviously. But yeah, Kay and I built our dream home, and we will be moving in the next few weeks. And yeah, we've customized it how we want it to look, and we have compromised on a few things, but more than anything, we've cut our cloth according to our size. If we didn't have the money for something, it means we're not supposed to have it. And in order for us to have built this house, we had to financially be reasonable about what we're willing to spend, building contingencies. And there is an episode that I've lined up to discuss these things, because, you know, we've come from financial literacy, and we've come from those episodes. And that is the reason why I did those episodes, because I think it's important that in order for us to create that generational wealth and to break the generational curses, you have to be able to confront your financial limitations. So I've put mine in Front Street, and I've laid them bare to you to get to a point of building a house. Now, it's different from buying a flat, right? This is not the first flat that I've bought, the one that I'm currently living in. I've bought flats before, but this is the first time I've ever owned a house. And to financially be in a position where we were able to build it, I had to get my relationship with money right, yeah? And, you know, let it not go above anyone's head, because it certainly doesn't go above mine. The business of marriage. Marriage is a business. Marriage is a business, and there is an episode called The Business of Marriage. And I'm going to talk about what business in marriage actually means, because people don't really talk about that. When people are picking partners and wanting to spend their life with people, everyone's doing love one tin tin when they make a bad man sing. But some of these bad men that are singing are not the ones that you want to be in business with from a marriage perspective. In order for me to be in a position where Kay and I were able to build a house, it's because we brought our financial capabilities together. That's the reason. And, you know, we made a decision that the house prices in London are crazy. I actually regret buying my flat in London. I'm not going to lie, I do regret it. And again, we can talk about that in another episode. But I just think outside London, there's more space, you get more bang for your buck. If you work with the right developer, you know how they build and how they utilise space. There's certain developers who are not good with space. They cramp houses in, and I will be sharing my opinion, okay, about developers and how I found the right developer. I'm not going to share the developer name because then you'll be able to whittle down like where we built. And this home doesn't just belong to K&I, it belongs to the family we're going to build. So I have to protect my family, and part of that protection.
On the Future is Freelance podcast, we believe freelancing is the future of life, work, and everything. So whether you're brand new to working independently or you're a seasoned pro, we'd love you to listen. Every episode unpacks new ideas on how to make your future freelance. Whether you need to achieve business minimalism, survive a solopreneur crisis, or find the right digital nomad visa and community, we've got you covered, alongside actionable insight on everything from finding gigs to outsourcing support services, even mastering TikTok with no dancing required. Subscribe to The Future is Freelance on your favourite podcasting app via the link in your show notes.
To bait out the developer so you know the area or able to whittle it down, but what I will do is give you enough information so that you can go ahead and do the research and find the developer that works for you. And also understanding the build process as well, because I feel like when people talk about buying houses, you know, or when, you know, people have that discussion, it's also, there's a nuance in when you build a house, because you're having to work with and trust the vision of an architect. You know, they've got like, you know, these virtual model things of how they see your vision come to life. And then you're working with builders and a developer who have their own view about how they want you to utilize the plot of land that you've bought. And then here's me and Kay, who are new to this and having to learn quick. When it came to the contracts and working with my lawyer has been absolutely fantastic from start to finish. In the beginning, we had to set the expectation. I had to set the expectation. I had to let her know, you know, non-practicing lawyer out here. So we were able to work together with the contracts, because at every stage, it wasn't just a contract with a developer. We had to have different contracts with different people. Also as well, my broker, I didn't use the same broker that I used when buying the flat. And that's just because I felt like I needed to deal with a broker who, number one, specialised in working with contractors. Number two, somebody who specialised in, you know, like mortgages for building a house, if that makes sense. So again, a lot of research, a lot of things went into it. And also, even before we got to that point, is where outside London? Outside London is massive, it's huge. At one point, we almost bought in Southampton. So you can see how extensive and how methodical Kay and I have been in wanting to find the right place in the right area. Now, bearing in mind, if you have been following me on social media, you'll know I was born and raised in Tottenham, North London. That's basically all I know. Moving to East London was huge for me. And if you live in North, typically East is a bit more chilled in comparison to the rest of the areas. But even then, I remember crying the first night here, because it was just so weird and so different to me. And now to move completely outside of London, and it's no like 5 minutes down the road, it's a journey. We get on many motorways, has been huge. But then I think through the process of building this house and having to go to site, do site visits, so we did a lot of site visits, and I'm talking about hard hats and, you know, boots and a high vis jacket. And I vlogged some of this as well, and some things I didn't vlog, but I vlogged enough for you to get a sense of kind of what's happened. I'll do a lot of voiceovers and stuff. So over the next few weeks, you'll see vlogs, because they had to stop. The vlogs had to stop because I was then talking about the house and I hadn't really said anything about it because we hadn't completed. There were several delays as well. So for example, when we're talking about supply chain issues, it's not just affecting the supermarket, it's affecting many industries. So the building industry, if they can't get materials, how are you going to build your house? We've had 3 delays. 3 delays. We were supposed to complete in, well, they were supposed to get sign off and then obviously complete December 2021, then January. November, December, then January, and we completed in March. So there's been several delays, and there was a point where they contacted us and said, "Oh, we think we can, complete in February," and I was like, "No, we're sticking to the contract. You guys have moved this, Anyway, there's so much I have to share about building a house and the nuance of building a house versus buying a house that is already in situ, and also as well safeguarding our interests as well. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. A 4-bedroom townhouse, and I say 4-bedroom, there was like another room as well, and I'm going to be using it as a meditation room. So it's like 4.5 rooms, but I say 4 livable rooms, and then I've got like a little meditation area, like with the door in there, and it's really nice. There's like a tall window. If you know anything about me, I've always loved townhouses. So to be able to have built one is truly a testament to the ancestors, and I just feel so grateful to be in this position. I feel very overwhelmed, and I'm really glad I get to share it, because it gives some context as to why I'm always tired, why I'm always busy, why I'm never in one place at a time, because I'm always traveling up and down. I'm on the phone. If we're not doing FaceTimes, we're doing video conference calls, and they're having to go around the site, and they're asking certain questions. At one stage it was me, Kay, the lawyer, the broker, the architect, the developer, and the head contracts manager, as in construction contracts manager, all on a call, and site plans. It's just been a bit crazy. We're not the only one in that area building a house, but we're the ones that were heavily involved in the process, and they were saying it to us that they love going on the journey with us because we were genuinely interested in going on that journey with them. And I can't fault them, other than all I would say is no one's perfect. So there were times when there was heated discussions, but even in those discussions, I can't really fault them, because they're passionate about what they do. They're trying to get paid and make money. And Kay and I are trying to realise a dream and make sure we're getting value for money whilst not cutting any corners, and making sure things are being done properly and delivered on time. So yeah, we've built a house. So at one stage you're going to hear me in a new space, and hopefully the sound quality is really good in the room that I will be taking as a creative space, or I might just be recording in my meditation room. I haven't really decided yet. But yeah, so those of you who haven't followed me on Instagram, that's the news. So let's get into the episode. Let's get into it. So the way we left the last episode, as I told you, on the 25th of February at 1:30 p.m, I resigned. And the last week has played out. I think it's played out, and the conclusion will be on the 11th, Friday the 11th of March, because that's my last day. So when I sent my resignation in, I didn't hear anything for 24 hours, and I BCC'd, so blind copied in, Debra. So she messaged me and she was like, "Your resignation was brilliant." She goes, "The one thing about you, Toya, you know how to write an email." Which is so funny. And no one said anything to me. No one responded, nothing. You see, when you resign, it's like a battle of the wills, isn't it? Because they're waiting for you to then follow up and say, "Did you get my email?" And I'm not doing that. There's enough people on copy that one of you got in it. Even if one of you say your email box is full, somebody got it, you're gonna have a chat about it. So I copied in everybody from the coup. Yeah, because I don't know who's in charge. I'm not sure who's in charge. And I'd say 3 days later. So actually, the next day, Ola sent me an IM, and she said, "I respect your email, and I respect your honesty, and I respect your ability to still be professional under the circumstances in which you're in and everybody else is in." And I messaged her back and I said, "I appreciate your message. I would like a smooth handover, but it will be as smooth as you would like it. So that's me basically saying to her, if you want a rough ride, honey, I'm going to take you on a roller coaster. But if you decide that the water's too choppy, then let us be walking in tandem and everything can be peaceful. So 2 days later, I got an email from Natalie, who is the new head of department, and her number 2 is Rita. And Natalie messaged me and she says, thank you for your email. I appreciate, the content of what you've written, and you are well regarded and well respected within the organisation. I know you will be sorely missed, but we need to contain this information. And therefore, I would ask that you do not share this with any internal or external stakeholders. And somebody will be in contact with you shortly about your handover. So I replied back to her and I said to her, unfortunately, I said, thank you for your email. I said, but unfortunately, I'm unable to quote unquote contain the information because my resignation directly affects X, Y, Z. Secondly, in terms of a handover, do I take this as confirmation that you would like to activate the clause within the contract that I have with you guys and my limited company, that you would now like to utilise the rate card for handovers? Yeah, because you're not getting nothing. Nothing in this life is free. Free. I don't work for free. Yes, I don't work for free. You see, what is happening is battle of the wills. She's angry. How dare she resign? How dare she? She should be grateful. What, grateful to suffer under your regime? I think not. I think not. So Rita, her number 2, messages me and says to me that I've been very kind in terms of, saying I'll do a handover document, giving them the parameters of which that will be done. And what she would like to do is utilise the clause within my contract that I should send my rate card for the handover, and that they would like the handover, so I should charge them. I should send them an invoice. So I said, yeah, I invoice you, you pay for it. Once I've received the funds, then I'll start doing the handover. So that's kind of where we are. And so I've given them 2 weeks, and to be fair, they have asked for a full 4 weeks. But what they've said about the remaining 2 weeks is they would like the ability to call me. Like, they have like 2 calls a week for the 2 weeks. So like, I don't know, my last, so with the 4 weeks, so let me get this right. So with the 4 weeks notice, I've worked 2 weeks now. So by the end of the week, so by the 11th, that would have been 2 weeks. So what they want to do next week is either have the option to have a call, 2 calls next week and the week after, and they will pay the rate of the handover for those calls in full. So even if the call lasts 30 minutes, they'll pay me the day rate. I was like, cool, I don't mind. Because that call that they have with me is limited to 30 minutes. And I'm getting paid a full day's work for 30 minutes. Girl, yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to collect all the bags. So as the day went on, or the week progressed last week, I got an email from Ola, and it was following a call. So we had like a mini team call, and they introduced a new member of staff who is a contractor, which makes no sense because apparently they've got no money. And the reason why it makes no sense is because, remember I told you guys that I'd already been looking on the market and having conversations about, the viability of roles in the market. They basically, all our contracts come to an end at the end of March, which is the end of the financial year. So effectively, before the end of March, they should tell you whether they want to renew you or not. And it's dependent, obviously, on how much they have in the next financial year. And they usually know what that is. What you don't do is wait to the week before the end of a contractor's contract to extend them. No, because no contractor in their right mind is going to do that. Like, within 3 weeks of the end of your contract, if not more than that, you're already looking on the market for your next opportunity and you're out. So, we weren't hearing nothing. No one said anything. And for me anyway, I'd already made the decision within myself that I was going to go. but that's not the point. So when I was speaking to a lot of my contacts in the industry, one of them actually approached me and he said, oh, don't you work for so-and-so? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, I'm going to send you an email. He sent me an email, and basically this organisation that I've been working in for a year, well, it's a year and 5 months now, had advertised our jobs. So within my particular team and category, so they'd advertise our jobs and put the categories. So there were like 6 vacancies and there's 6 people within my particular team area, if that makes sense. And the rate was significantly lower than what I'm on, because there's 3 of us are the highest paid day raters, and we know that we are. You can tell. But the rates that were being advertised were significantly lower. These people haven't told us that they're extending us. They're telling us they don't know, because obviously financial year, but yet you're advertising our roles, and you're advertising them as contractor roles on less than what we're on. So clearly your intention was to get rid of us and get somebody in cheaper so that you don't have to spend the money. It's wild. So this is why I say, as contractors, there is a big, big risk. But just because I'm talking about this in the context of being a contractor, permies, there's something to learn here too. There's something to learn here too. When your boss is telling you, even when your boss, before your boss even tells you, but you know that your probation period is up and no one's renewed you, you need to sit in that, or extended you, or when I say extended, no one's confirming that you've passed your probation. Number one, you shouldn't even allow it to get to that point. But number two, you need to start looking on the market, because that happened to me before, where they hadn't confirmed either way about my probation. And I'd already decided I was going to look elsewhere. Then when I found a job and resigned, they tried to tell me I had to give them 4 weeks notice. I was like, nah. I'm still on probation, because your contract says until you confirm in writing that I've passed my probation, I'm still on probation. Therefore, I can utilise the 2 weeks notice period apportioned to the probation period to give you notice. Don't ever underestimate when new people come into an organisation, managers, and they talk about restructure. Restructure is the cousin of redundancy, and I said this last week in last week's episode. So permies, just because I'm talking about this in the context of being a contractor, there are things to learn here, because I started as a perm before I became a contractor. Do you understand? So the foundations of certain things I already had in my mind. Yeah? So from my perspective, this is a win-win. I don't really care. But the bit that I need to reveal to you guys is, I don't really care, because this wasn't my only job. Yeah. I'm a contractor through and through, darling. I've been consulting for another organisation for over 9 months, and I've been consulting part-time, day rate. Part-time, day rate. And then it went to full-time, and I was juggling both roles. But the consulting I was doing at contract number, I will call it contract number 2, is not intense whatsoever. So I'm really only doing twice a week. And they were like, oh, they want me to do more days. And then it just evolved into Monday to Friday. But I'm only consulting for them 2 days. So I already had another option. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I already had another option. I'm never going to put all my eggs in a white man's basket. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I before others. I.B.O. I put myself first. Because as a contractor, you are a mercenary. You have to be loyal to yourself, the bag, your pockets. Do you understand? Yourself, the bag, your pockets. To be a high-performing contractor, you have to know your subject inside. Listen, no one questions my rate because I deliver, because I'm exceptional with what I do. So why should I restrict that to one contract when I can have more than one as a remote worker? So the question I'm going to pose is, how did you make the pandemic work for you? Because I know how it worked for me. I worked so hard. My friends are the ones who truly understand the sacrifices I have made to get to this very moment. Because don't get it twisted. Contract number 2, they had 1 or 2 moments where they had a couple of people that was crazy. Yes! Because they're seeing a black woman on a day rate They're perm. They don't want to take the risk of being a contractor, but they hate you for taking the risk and making more money than them. And then being a black woman on top of that, it's not easy. Perms, you go through it too. They don't want to see us, but they want us because they know we're best in class at what we do. They know that we've done the work, we've done the studying, we've got the experience, so they have no choice but to hire us. But then when they hire us, they want to do Allah. No. There were days, especially last year, where I had 2 meetings at the same time for contract 1 and contract 2. And I did have to lip read and see when someone's saying my name, and then go to that meeting, unmute myself. On top of all of that, Kay and I were building a house. I had my civil ceremony last year. I'm now planning my trad wedding, and a podcast, and my business, Toya Talks, public engagements, and public speaking. I'm busy. I am booked and busy on all fronts. But my thing is this. I understand that I've also pushed myself way too far as well. But I don't regret any of it, because it's financially given me the opportunity to not only do certain things, but to see what is truly achievable if I focused. The best thing about the pandemic for me was normalizing remote working. Normalizing it on a level whereby I feel like it's been safer to be a black woman remote working. And I know that it's to an extent a luxury that's not afforded to everybody. But for me, having that social anxiety aspect to me, the fact that I just don't like to get involved in this office politics that we have to do all the time, like all that, like what do they call it? Chit chatting. There's actually a word for it. I can't even remember it, but you know what I mean. I'm not into it, and I feel like for me, I've worked in the office enough now to understand how it is and how it goes. The younger generation need to understand going into an office, that social aspect of it, being able to learn from people. I get that. But for me, I've been there, done that now. So now I'm looking for soft life. And part of my soft life is that I get to remote work and I get to be in the comfort of my own home and feel safe. You can't have a meeting with me and be shouting because I feel like you're in the computer and you're shouting at me in my house. It's not going to happen. Equally, I understand from a mental health perspective the importance of, leaving the vicinity of where I am. And I think that's one thing that I need to work on more, because it does affect my mental health when I don't go out. Like, I could be in the house for a week, 2 weeks straight, and I'll be a bit jaded. But that to one side, I will say that I've been able to deliver a lot more remote working, less distractions. We're not having to flip and navigate the public transport because non-black people feel like they own the train and that we should smell their armpits when they put it across our heads. And how dare we, raise any resistance to that? How dare we have an opinion and not look like a sardine on a train? I'm just not really for that. COVID is real. It's out there. They've found two new variants of concern. I'm happy to work from home, So anyway, I got the email from Ola basically saying to me they've got a new joiner and she would like him to job shadow me. Hey! I said, this girl has eaten cold eggs in the morning because clearly something's not working here. This girl has been chewing ice because it's blocking her head. What's all that? Job shadowing. Are you paying for that? So I sent a message back. And then I copied in Natalie and Rita. I said, if you would like someone to job shadow me, there's a fee for that. Then I put myself on Do Not Disturb. Do not disturb me. I'm not job shadowing anyone. So you want to train someone. So the 2 weeks on these high value, high risk contracts, you don't want to hand over now. No, so you want to hand over now. And you want me to train someone. Did I get training when I came here? Am I not a contractor? These lot don't understand what this is. No, I'm not here to make your life better. When you decided to stage a coup and overthrow Debbie, you should have had a plan and contingencies of what would happen with people who are loyal to her, who have been on the project, who are contractors, that we would then be they would be at risk of losing us. So if you didn't build that into your coup plan, that's not now for me to come and help you guys. That's some bullshit. And remember, there's no obligation to give a handover. It's just good practice. But even me, you will decide, the person that is doing the handover, you decide how much information you're going to give them. I'll give you enough, but I'm not going to pour my head onto a paper. No, I'm not pouring my head. I will give you enough, but I'm not pouring the contents of my head, because that's still value. That's still value. 3-4 months down the line, you might say to me, Toya, we need to consult your services for 2 days, and I'll be charging you through the nose and the side of your face. Yeah. So I can't give you everything, honey. That is my market intelligence. So I just ignored it. I ignored Ola's message. You know, even as a contractor, whether you're a contractor, perm, fixed term, agency, whatever, these people won't train you. You will learn on the job, yeah? Then you become great at what you do. You're a safe pair of hands. They mistreat you, because let's be real. If it was before I understood the game of contracting and really understand the essence of what it means to be a mercenary contractor, putting yourself first and focusing on what's important. And for me, it's not just about money. It's also delivering a really good service, because the money you get there and then is short-term money. You know what the long-term money is? It's in the contract extensions. The long-term money is when I've left and I've done my contract and you call me back in a few months' time and you already know that my rate has increased and you're paying that rate. Do you understand? Or when I need to, use you as a reference, for example, you're going to give me that, a standard one, but you're going to give me it. It's, for me as well, I've got into a point in contracting where I don't negotiate my rate. If I tell you it's that rate, that's the rate. If you can't pay it, walk away. So I genuinely think that organizations mistreat us because as Black women, they don't expect us to know our worth. They don't expect us to know our value because society mistreats us. They mistreat us in the media. They mistreat us in social media. They mistreat us where they mistreat us in any opportunity they get to paint us negatively is how they mistreat us. So when they see us in workplaces, you're going to expect the same behavior. What's disappointing is Ola looks like me. I look like Ola. Ola, they know you're Black, babe. They see you, they know you're Black. You're no different because you're a perm. You're still a Black woman to them. And what she don't realise, but she's realising now, is they're going to throw her under the bus, because what's happening is there's a mass exodus. More than 80% of the team are leaving. So who's getting stuck with the work? Them lot. Seb and Ola. Ola is shit scared. That's why now she keeps sending me IM messages every 5 minutes, asking me questions. I don't answer her. She gets 2 responses, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Yeah, opening service and closing service. I don't do more than that, honey. I'm not here having a back and forth, because when you were informing on Debra, you weren't thinking about anyone other than yourself. When you decided to inform on Debra, you pit yourself off against another fellow Black woman. That's what you done. So I'm no safer than Debra is. I don't trust you, boo. You're maybe more sensible than the rest of their madness, but you're still mad. So I don't trust you either. And what they're doing is they're setting Ola up to fail, and now she sees it. And now you're trying to tap into your Blackness now as a way to lure me into, no, honey, because not all skin folk is kinfolk, and I ain't stupid. I've been watching your moves, and your moves have been booky. So that's not how it's going to be. When you were sending me a message telling me, oh, so-and-so is going to job shadow you, did you really think that was going to fly? But you knew that, and you allowed them to use you to do that, because they couldn't come and tell me that. You knew that they were trying to pit you off against me. That's what they were trying to do. And you walked into it majestically. And what's the end goal? Instead of her to navigate, she's allowing herself to be used as a puppet. They're using her as a puppet, and they're going to sacrifice Ola, I promise you. Because when it all falls down, they need a scapegoat. And it ain't going to be the rest of them, because they've all got each other's back. Yes! White-dominated industry. All these lot, Seb, Natalie, Rita, they're all white people. I don't think Ola realises that it does also boil down to that too. You understand? But she's not playing the game. Because if I was in her situation, do you know what I would do? Number one, I wouldn't have done the informing, but okay, fair enough. She done the informing. I would have just kept it real. I would have just come to me and say, you know what, this is what it is. I could respect that. I could respect it because at least she's coming with honesty. And then I would pattern her a little bit. Like, I wouldn't be as harsh on certain things. But she ain't come like that. She came with the heat. She came with the heat. She came for Debra. Like, I'm loyal to Debra. Like, I'm loyal to her because she's been loyal to me. Why wouldn't I not be? And also, Ola didn't have no reason to behave like that. So you were happy to do the dirty work of these people. And they're going to now do you dirty. And now you realise it. You're now looking for allies. Honey, I ain't your ally. I am your colleague. Because that's what you made it. When you were all on the computer screen, all 10 of you telling us now that there's a new regime, there's a new sheriff in town, you were part of them. You were the cowboy doing cowgirl. And now look, you ran out of ammunition. Your uniform don't fit no more. You're looking hella uncomfortable. Anyway. So that's where we are. But it doesn't stop there, honey. It doesn't stop there. How can it stop there? Last week, Thursday, I got an email. So I contract with this company directly through my limited company. And ordinarily, they've stopped doing that now. So now, a lot of people are working inside IR35 on this particular project. I still work outside, honey. They have tried to take me off outside. I say, no. That's not part of the contract. Anyway, remember, they were doing I2No. They were doing puff shoulders. At the end of the day, I've navigated really well. I'm the safe pair of hands. I'm the person that knows these contracts inside out. I'm the one that understands the risk of these projects. I'm the one that's been here for 14, 15 months now, dedicating myself to these projects and collecting the bag. This one that they're doing was mad. So on Thursday, I got email. They want to extend my contract to October 2022. Hello? You hear me? Hello? October 2022. That means they're trying to extend my contract. So I would have been working here a total of 2 years. Now, don't get it twisted. Like, let's provide some context here. For a contractor to have a 2-year contract, that's good going. On my rate, I get paid handsomely. But honey, we've come to the end of the road. But it gets better. Queens, it gets better. They want me to be like head of this particular project. So I'm senior, and then I was reporting into Debra, but they now basically want me to be the Debra of this project and have people sit underneath me. They are trying to use me, a black woman, and pit me off Debra so they can send Debra off on her marching orders. Because the thing is, they haven't gotten rid of Debra completely. They've removed her from the team and sidelined her. But they haven't told her what they like to leave, because they're trying to download all the information from her for the last 2 years. But what they're trying to do is, if they can get me to replace her, they'll get rid of her on the spot. They said to me, her job is mine if I want it. I said, what? They said, yeah, for my particular project and what I'm doing, they're willing to give me that, and they'll extend me to October. If you know anything about me, integrity always. Because you never know when you're going to come across someone. You never know. And the thing is, integrity means that there's something about you that governs the foundation of who you are, how you do business. The reason why I'm able to get contracts is because I'm able to build relationships. The reason why I'm able to call up my people on my Apple Rolodex and say I'm on the market, and they look for me, is because they know, like, I'm good at what I do, but more importantly, that I'm honest and, you know, I lead with integrity. What you see is what you get with me. You want to use me, so you tried to use Ola. You know that didn't work. And you're trying to use the strongest person in the team when it comes to knowledge. There is 3 people that are intrinsic to our team. Like, everybody's is important in the team, okay? But the 3 of us have been here the longest. So that is leverage. That information is expensive because it's gold dust. We understand these projects better than anybody. So it's not enough to have a handover. If something happens today, like something happened last week, and I sorted out within 10 minutes. If I wasn't here, it would have taken them at least 2 weeks to do, because they don't have the knowledge. Do you understand? And now these people, Ola, Seb, Rita, Natalie, they are understanding the true value of what is here. Because now everywhere is on fire. Who's putting it out? It's the people that have been there the longest, not the ones who have come over to do a coup with no clue. Coming to do coup with no clue. Not those, it's us. And that a majority of us are leaving. So now they're panicking. They're like, what? She resigned? Like, who she thinks she is? I'm Toya, honey. Allow me to reintroduce myself. So yeah, they basically offered me this, offered me that. And they're willing to increase my day rate further. I thought I could get in on more. They were like, yeah, we'll give you more money. So that was sent on Thursday last week. On Friday, I wrote to them. Cece and Debra. Allow me to read. Hi, Natalie and Rita. Thank you both for your email. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to be able to accept your offer. When I first started here, I started here knowing nothing about this particular organisation and this particular industry. Almost 8 years into contract management, I was able to use my transferable skills and my ability to pick up and assimilate information really quickly. And I've been able to successfully deliver this contract and continue to deliver at a high standard, training and improving the skills of junior members of staff who have also been able to lead on their own contracts that sit within my pillar, and may I say so, successfully. What you are offering me is an extension. This is not accepted. What you are offering me is effectively Debra's role. This is unacceptable. I am loyal to Debra because she has been the example to all of us of hard work, dedication, integrity. Debra is the best boss I've ever had in my career. And my career spanning 8 years has consisted of permanent roles, fixed term roles, and now as a career contractor. One thing that is very clear to me is that a lot of us continue to work hard and stay because of Debra. We believed in her ability to manage. We believed in her. She always had our backs. And more importantly, we were high performing, always delivering to a high standard, never wanting to let her down. The reason why I'm so respected within the team and this organisation as a contractor is because I'm honest. I show up with my professional suit of armour. I deliver and I work hard. This in mind, there is no way that it could ever be conceivable that you could use me to replace Debra and in turn release Debra from her contract with you, effective immediately. I cannot be used as a pawn in this chess game. The way this has been managed has been unacceptable. What you have asked in this email is unacceptable and actually challenges anyone's integrity. My personal integrity means more to me than money, position, and ambition. I would ask that you refrain from asking me this question again. We have agreed that you will get a handover. I've provided my rate and invoiced you. I will continue to invoice for the work that I do. And my last day will remain Friday, the 11th of March, 2022. And the option over the next 2 weeks to call me twice a week, and you will be invoiced for this. Thank you so much. Kind regards, Toya. I ain't heard from any one of them. They ain't gonna respond. Because they are annoyed that I put Debra on copy. She needs to be on copy. She needs to see the audit trail. You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. She needs to fully see in HD how mad these women are. These white women. Crazy in this place. Crazy, batshit crazy. Debra rang me. She said, Toya. I said, yes. She goes, what am I seeing? I said, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, listen, I'm not playing in the mud. I don't play in the mud. I'm too cute. I'm not doing that. I said, forget that I'm loyal to you and, you know, there's respect and, you know, forget all of that for a moment. I wouldn't do that to anyone. I've never had to shit on anyone to get anything. I've never had to step on anyone to get anything. And I'm not going to start now. Why would I do that? Because if they're willing to do that and ask me of that, that tells me that I could be in exactly that position. They'll be doing it. They'll get someone else to do that to me. And I believe in karma. And I will not be used as a pawn to, you know, to be used against another black woman. That's not going to happen, Debra. So they needed to be called out. They put me in a position that was uncomfortable. And therefore, this is the consequence of it. I'm not playing. I'm not doing the politics. I'm not interested. And they know it. They're desperate. And this just stinks of desperation. But it's the fact that they're willing to go so low. I'm not here for it. So yeah, guys. that's kind of been it. That's kind of been it. It's been a little bit crazy. It has been. But the testimonies have been amazing. And I've learned so much. And I continue to learn so much. And I'll tell you, non-black people, white people, they will never cease to amaze me. Never. My integrity is not for sale. No, honey. And my loyalty is never for sale. I'm the wrong one. They underestimated me because of Ola. Because, listen, they never even took the time to understand whether I had the type of character that would accept that. But because Ola is willing to sell her soul, they now see Ola as the poster for black women and thinks that my soul is up for sale. It is not up for sale. Sorry, I'm not doing that. Look at all this ag everywhere when I could just go and start afresh somewhere else. And believe me, the phone has been ringing off the damn hook. Ring in, honey. Ring in. So I'm not doing that. Sorry. So yeah. This concludes part 2 of Mass Exodus that we're calling I.B.O. I.B.O, which is the non-conventional spelling. No one ever, please, my language is not spelled I.B.O. The indigenous way is I.G.B.O. For the purposes of this episode, I'm using the, is it Britico spelling? I don't know the spelling, huh? I.B.O, I before others. It is not selfish to put yourself first. You know, for me, I feel like in putting myself first, I'm protecting my mental health, yeah? I've already done my due diligence. I've got my contacts. I'm leveraging that, right? I know what's going on in the market. And you guys, if you know anything about me, I've always got a contingency. I've just shared with you that I've been doing this big project, this big contract, and I've had a consultancy gig on the side that I've been doing, you know, and the consultancy gig want to extend me until June. So I have that option. And I have several other options. Believe me, that's a separate episode, but I've got several other options. You know, even if I didn't, I know that there is no, nothing great comes out of stepping on other people. I'm just not that person. And it's almost offensive that they think the value of my selling my soul is in increasing my day rate and my title. You think that I'm doing puff shoulders to come and be director of what? I'm not interested in them things. Those things don't motivate me. And if they actually took the time to have observed, they would have realised that. But to be honest with you, it was just disrespectful that they thought that I would do that. But then I'm not completely surprised because of Ola, right? But also as well, I don't know. It's almost quite annoying, you know, the way in which the workplace pits us off all against each other. For example, we don't share how much we earn. No, people don't know how much you earn, and unless somebody just happens to say it, or you happen to see something, or you see a job advertised. And the reason why sometimes they advertise jobs without the pay is because they're facilitating this non-conversation about what you earn. And what you're gonna find is that women are paid less than men, but also from a cultural perspective, as black people are paid significantly less than our white counterparts. And this is why a couple of, I think it's Labour MPs, are trying to campaign to have organisations and make it mandatory for organisations to share how much people earn based on ethnicity. Do you know how big that is if that happens? Because we will see a disparity between how much black people earn and non-black people. It's huge. I mean, even from a cultural perspective, black people, we do not talk about how much we earn. We just don't, right? I mean, I've never shared my day rate, but part of that is also because even within our community, we have issues. You know, remember that episode and you know, on social media when our fellow black queen shared that she's on 6 figures, and they called up her workplace and said that she was divulging personal information or business related information on the internet by sharing how much she earns. This is what we do, right? When someone shares with you to bring you in to what you should be getting, it shakes the foundation of your insecurity because you didn't even realize your capability. And instead of you to learn and encourage that within our community, you're calling up workplaces and being a snitch. And it's not even a snitch that makes sense, because sharing how much she earns is not business intelligence. That is just how much she earns. It's her personal information. The confidentiality clause within her contract doesn't preclude her from sharing how much she earns. In fact, there is no contract unless it's explicitly said that says that you're not allowed to share how much you earn. It's culturally, in this country, we don't do it. It's seen as not professional. You see the word professional, it's problematic because it's misused so much. I personally think it's unprofessional to create secrecy amongst staff, because that secrecy places staff in a position whereby they're not trusted. You can't have any type of trust, because people are basically they make sure you pick and choose what to be honest about. I wish when I was a perm, I shared how much I earn, because within the contracting community, we do share how much we earn. We do, because when I shared with my contracting community within my WhatsApp group, so I've got a WhatsApp group of contractors who've been contracting way longer than me, and I told them how much I'm on, and they were like, "Toy, that's amazing. It's amazing for the amount of time you've been contracting and your age. That's amazing." So I have, a benchmark. But outside of that, if we were to take what happens as a perm employee, you don't know how much people earn. How many of you know how much people earn in your workplaces? They don't share it. What they share is they do salary comparison based on gender. But that's just part of the problem. That doesn't even scratch the surface of the problem. We need to know on ethnicity. We need to know from a race perspective how much people are earning. Yes, because if we want to start looking at from an ethnicity perspective, I think there are some massive disparities. I want to know how much the average black person is earning in certain organisations. I want to know in comparison to white and non-white counterparts. I want to know. Because in order for there to be balance, you have to bring all this shit to the surface. So those MPs who are campaigning for this, I fully support. And I need to do a bit more research into finding out who it is and see if I can get them either on the podcast or a statement. I need to get something. Because I just kind of feel like until we start being honest about certain things, you're not going to see certain changes. this is why the negotiation masterclass was so important, that I did it, because I felt like since it's not encouraged that one shares how much they earn, then negotiate then. Because then what should be acknowledged is that you're not being paid what you should do. So then negotiate, or what you're being offered is not what you should accept. Negotiate then. And try and have some logic to the negotiation. Don't just, people that have a random figure in negotiation, they just throw it in, no logic, no research, make no sense. I know when you're doing that, I know you ain't listen to the masterclass or watch the masterclass, because I give you the blueprint that I used. And I always negotiated my salary, and I always got what I wanted, always. I negotiate my day rate. The day rate they offer is decent enough to get me to the table to interview, but I'll still negotiate. Because once you've interviewed me, leverage. Because you're going to want me. Of course you are. Look at all the places I've worked. Look at what I've done. Look at the projects I've delivered. My name is against them things. You know? But I think in this particular organisation, I definitely think they underestimated me because I'm a black woman. And I watched everything unfold. I did my due diligence. I saw where it was going to fall. And I'm in a position that is amazing, because there are, offers on the table for future contracts in different organisations that I'm considering at the moment. I've got my consulting gig that I'm doing. I'm good. And I'm so excited to be leaving at the end of the week. But also as well, nervous, because it's all I've known for 15 months. But there's so many learning lessons that I have learned. And I want to share a couple of them before I draw this episode to a close. So one of my learning lessons is that I'm never going to stay in a contract longer than 9 months. If after 9 months they want to extend me, I will have to leave for about 3 months and then consider going back. But I'm not going to work for a continuous period. I think that the problem with being in this organisation for 15 months now is that I think you become quite wedded, and that's where you start seeing all the stuff as to the reason why you're not a perm. So that's where you start seeing the politics. That's where you see the politics on a greater level. Do you understand? They no longer see you as a contractor now. They see you as one of them, as a perm, because you've been there often longer than or the same amount of time. So in as much as it's great to have a 2-year contract on a day rate, that like a good day rate, that's amazing, right? Because it gives stability, it gives longevity. There is a negative to it as well, especially if you're in an already toxic environment. So I think that for me, going into my next role is to be really strict. So my next role, I will do a maximum of 9 months anyway, because I feel like I just have to be strict. And then I would like a new contract. For me to stay longer, I just don't think it's going to happen. I've said to myself, it's 9 months. I'll leave for free. And then if they want me to come back, yes, I would consider coming back, but maybe to a different department. So you could be in the same organisation, but go to a different department, different people as a contractor. I think another thing that I learned is just about myself, and that not only do I live by what I teach, but I really am happy at how I've evolved as a contractor, because I've only been contracting for 4 years now. Yeah, about 4 years. And that's not a really long time, but it's long enough that I've been able to establish myself. I've developed as a contractor. I'm now a career contractor. And to be 8, sometimes I think it's 9 years. Why do I think I've been in the commercial contract management space for 9 years? But let's just say 8 years, because I think it is 8.5. I think by the end of the year, it should be about 9 years. I've been doing this for a long time. I know my industry really well. I've worked for some great organisations, and I think working here for me was a reminder of my greatness from a career perspective. And sometimes you need to know that you still got it. So it's important to still be interviewing. I think that for 15 months, I wasn't interviewing at all. I was just focused here. All I was doing was updating my CV every quarter, because I talk about that in the CV masterclass, because we were doing so much and it was so fast paced that you would forget if you didn't note it down. So I had a notebook, and everything that I was doing that was new or that would be seen as some form of leverage for my next role, I wrote down. My CV is fire. My CV is fire. The calls I am getting, like one lady called me the other day and she was like, your CV is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I've not allowed myself to be pigeonholed. I've got experience in different industries: financial sector, defence, professional services, charity, public and private sector, aerospace. Yeah. I've worked for some really amazing places, and I'm so happy I didn't stick to a particular, sector. I'm happy that I've got a good enough experience in private, public, charity sector. I've worked for a startup before. I personally, for me, I wouldn't do that again. I can't. But my CV reads well. It makes sense, and I've been very disciplined on how long I've stayed as a perm on a certain run. I told you guys I started seeing success in my career becoming a contractor because I was able to grow quicker, financially quicker, and even from a perm perspective where I wouldn't stay anywhere more than 2 years. For me, that worked for me. I know it doesn't necessarily work for other people, but what you should take from it is that you shouldn't be staying somewhere for 10, 15 years because people will see you as unemployable because they'd be worried about your ability to adapt. And what I think for me, what I've been able to show through my career is my ability to adapt to different industries, different organisations, different sectors. So you can't come and say, oh, I haven't got experience here, because I have. You can't say, oh, so if you're not hiring me, it's either because of a personality situation or issue, or it's because culturally for me it's not a fit, or because I don't like the way this person's managing me, because this person is interviewing me because I can see they're going to be a micromanager. Like I'm having more pointed conversations, less about my experience, but more about fit now, I think another thing that I've learned is that from the pandemic, being remote has probably been the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I think partly because I'm able to work to the best of my ability from home and be able to deliver effectively without distractions. And I think also as well, I've been able to have access to work for different companies or have conversations with different companies outside of the UK. Organisations are realising that they're not restricted to just, like a London-based company doesn't have to hire people in London. You can hire somebody remotely who lives in Scotland, New York, all over the world. And organisations are realising that they have a greater pool of talent now because they're just not restricted to that particular country or that particular area. Yes, there are time zone issues, but the access to be able to have a pool of more organisations can only be a good thing. So I definitely, celebrate celebrate remote working for that reason. And that's what I've learned. And I feel like, had I known this at the beginning of my contracting, I wouldn't have appreciated it. But I think the pandemic has made us all appreciate remote working, or at least we've all learned something. I think that another learning lesson I would say is, for me, is that I am right to trust my gut. My gut's never failed me. My learning lesson is from Debra. She was distracted. And I'm so grateful of the way I am, in that I get the job done and everything. People really like me in my organisation because I don't get involved in the passer. But equally, I don't take shit. I'm professional, I speak when I need to. And more importantly, I have something about me. Do you know what I mean? And don't get it twisted. Like, you guys know I've been challenged various times, especially the industry that I'm in. It's like white, male, middle class dominated. And they've been so disrespectful. But at each opportunity, I've dealt with it really well because I've had a burn folder. They haven't seen me come in. And one thing people tell you about me is I don't argue. You'll just be arguing with yourself because I'm not arguing with you. I will diffuse the situation. I'll just turn off my camera. I'll come away. Do you understand? You're not going to do that with me. You know, it's hard enough, the sacrifices we've made to get to this point. Then when you're here, you're now justifying yourself to people who haven't got not even one GCSE to rub together. Nah, not me. So, those are some of my learning lessons, and I'm going to continue to learn and grow. And the next chapter is very exciting. Obviously, I'm concentrating on kind of moving house and all of that stuff. And I have been interviewing, and I cannot wait to tell you about some of my interviews. Some people are crazy. Let me give you a sneak peek. I started a new contract today. Yeah, you heard me. So I'm working kind of quote unquote notice. Well, I'm a contractor, you don't really have notice, but you know what I mean. I'm working my notice in my current contract, but I did start a new contract today. And within 4 hours, I was like, no, this is not for me. And the reason I started it today is because it's going to feed into an episode, because I did it because I wanted to show you guys something. I knew I was going to leave within 4 hours, but there was a reason. And I said to Kay, I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to accept this contract to teach people on the podcast about something, because I am right about the due diligence. If you do it properly, you shouldn't have any surprises. So when I did my due diligence at interview stage, everything I saw is what I saw in 4 hours today. You know, and Kay was laughing. I was like, yeah, this is content. I'm willing to sacrifice myself for the content. So I'm going to share that with you guys next week. And, you know, my next contract probably won't start until April anyway. Like I said, I've got a few offers on the table. 3 of them are making sense. The fourth one, not so much. So I'm going to go back to them and say, no thanks. And then the one today is really interesting. I can't wait to tell you guys. And I can't believe I agreed just so I could give you guys content. I'm not doing that again. Sacrificing myself like that. No, you guys know I'm always going to come through for you guys. So yes, so that's it. That's how we're drawing the episode to a close. So hopefully it's lived up to what you expected it to be. More importantly, I hope you've taken the learning lessons from it. I think what we need to understand, you know, and accept is that as Black women, we are always going to be underestimated. And I continue to tell you, being underestimated can only be our greatest superpower. And we have to accept that, you know, as much as, you know, a lot of us you just want to go to work, you just want to earn your money and leave. It's just not that, because you're working in amongst people who will always lean into violence. So you have to be able to navigate and be able to do your due diligence and understand also how to deal with it. You know, I can't sit here and say, you know, any workplace is perfect, because it's not. But it's about degree. It's about degree. And it's also about you and your mental health. And it's also about your happiness. It's also about integrity. And for me personally, as a contractor and the contractors I know, we have to be mercenaries. Loyal to ourselves, to our bag, to the pocket, whilst maintaining our integrity. And that's just it. You know, it's felt a little bit like Noah's Ark. You know, like washing away of old things for a new dawn. And I'm really excited as well just to have a break. I've felt so extremely tired. I've worked really, really hard. And I just want to focus now on moving and Toya Talks and all the great opportunities that are being presented to me. Continuing to create and develop the podcast. And, you know, focusing on the things that mean a lot to me. I feel like, you know, the last 15 months have been very testing. And I feel like I've passed the test. If only just to give you guys the content every week. So I know some of you are probably wondering where the masterclasses are and stuff like that. And honestly, it's literally been delayed just because of building this house, if I'm being completely honest. That's it. So just be patient. You'll get them over the next few weeks. You will get them. Also as well, I have been asked by my assistant and a few other people about the live remote masterclass. And I just want to reiterate that the live remote masterclass will be on employment contract. I'm going to show you guys how to mark up an employment contract, the clauses that you should be paying special attention to, or at least having the conversation and negotiating, and how I've negotiated certain clauses that have been quite important. And I'll be looking at perm contracts If there is an appetite for contractor contracts, then obviously that's something I can explore later on. But it will be perm contracts that I'll be doing at the live remote masterclass. Now, when I say live remote masterclass, I just want to reiterate that I will possibly be working with a particular company for a particular platform. So it's not going to be a Zoom or anything like that. It'll be a platform that is dedicated to doing masterclasses, and it will be interactive. You'll be able to ask me questions and things like that. Now, the provisional date that I'm going for is the 24th of April, which is a Sunday, and it will probably be about 6 o'clock or something, 5-6 o'clock, something like that. And the tickets will go live at the end of March. So what I am hoping is before the end of March, you'll have the Passing Your Probation Masterclass and another masterclass as well before the end of March. And then at the end of March, you will have the tickets go live for the remote live masterclass that provisionally will be on the 24th of April. I apologize for the delays. You guys have seen it, right? I'm dealing with a mad workplace. I'm coming every Tuesday with a brand new episode of the Toy Talks podcast. I'm planning a trad wedding. I'm building a house. I'm dealing with my businesses. It's just been a lot. So I'm just asking for your patience. That's what I'm asking for. And I don't ask for much. And when I do ask for something, I would hope that you will use your Jesus mind to understand. Please. So yeah. And I know that there are some dilemmas in the mailbox. I'll be addressing those next week. Next week will probably be a dilemma episode. So I would encourage you, if you have any dilemmas, work-related, life-related, that you want me to address, your anonymity will be protected. Please email hello@toytalks.com. Please, please, please do not DM me asking for opinions or advice, because that is considered a dilemma. And for me, I am creating boundaries. You can see everything I've had on my plate. I have to create boundaries and secure my own mental health. I have been extremely tired. I've been also extremely busy like everybody else. And I just want my boundaries just to be respected. And also, I want to give you guys the best service I can by addressing your dilemmas properly and giving me the opportunity to ask you further questions before I then address your dilemmas on the podcast. That's what the email does. And also, you give me the opportunity to not forget. Because if you're sending me DMs, I'm probably gonna miss them as well. I won't remember. And my assistant is really good in terms of making sure that I'm definitely addressing the dilemmas, that they're getting done. And she always emails people to say, Toys, address this dilemma, because I will then say to her, okay, this is the dilemma I've done. But do you understand? So from an organizational perspective, it just works better if you email the dilemmas straight to the point. As much as possible, please leave out the emotion. And tell me what you are hoping as a, best case scenario. What are you hoping to achieve? What are you wanting to achieve? That will guide the way in which I advise you on your dilemmas. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to say thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the podcast. If you listen to the podcast on any platform that enables you to rate and review, please do so. Spotify gives you the opportunity to rate the podcast. Please could you do that for me? That would be amazing as well. Because also for new listeners, it allows them to know that not only are we a growing, podcast, but this podcast does really well from a download perspective. We chart every single week. We chart on the Apple podcast. I think last week we charted, highest charting position was number 30. 2 weeks before it was number 19 in the careers section. We chart on Spotify regularly, and the podcast does extremely well. And for those people who maybe don't know the platform, sometimes they look at the reviews. So it means as much to me as it would be for people who are probably interested, that would benefit from the podcast, if you could just do me a little favour and rate and review where possible. I would really appreciate it. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm very active on Instagram, as I said earlier in the episode. My Instagram page, my personal Instagram page is Toya_Washington. The Toy Talks podcast Instagram page is Toya_Talks. If you want to follow me on Snapchat, it's Toy Washington, which is all one word. And on TikTok, Toy Washington, all one word. I am going to be uploading some more tips on TikTok. Obviously, with everything with the house, I haven't had a chance to do that, so I will be doing that this week. And the vlogs will be back as well. So we have a new vlog this week. So I'm going to be working on that within the coming days. So I will typically be uploading a new video bi-weekly. And I think once I move to the house and get into a routine, I'll try as much as possible to upload weekly. As I've mentioned before, you're going to have 2 masterclasses this March by the grace of Almighty God. Again, I appeal to your Jesus mind to forgive me for the delay. And of course, we have the remote live masterclass provisionally on the 24th of April. The tickets will go live at the end of March. So keep a lookout on my social media. And I'm sure there's going to be many, many things that happen this year for Toya Talks. So keep an eye out. Make sure you follow me on social media. And I'm going to see you guys again next week for a brand new episode of the Toya Talks podcast. My name is Toya Washington, and you have been listening to the Toya Talks podcast.